Tell us, Commander, what do you think? Because we know that you love all that power. Is it on then? Are we on the brink? We wish you'd all throw in the towel. Will not fade out too soon, nor in this finest hour. Whistle your favorite tune. We'll send a card and a flower saying it's a mistake. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter from deep in the bowels of our underground lair, where we have more vitality, more energy, more excitement than Joe Biden at a Juneteenth rally.
Huh.
How you doing?
Isn't it a little early for Juneteenth?
It is, but did you see the footage of our illustrious president celebrating Juneteenth?
I did not.
There's a drag queen or something to no, I don't know. It was a dude with a beard and a dress on the side, one side of Kamala Harris's husband.
Sure that wasn't Hunter?
And then there was another like transgender off on the other side of him. I don't know. And they're all dancing to some music, and he's motionless, just standing there, not looking around, just motionless like a stone.
I tell you what, if you tried to dance, it would probably be worse. Maybe being motionless is good.
At least move your head and look to the side and see what's going on.
He could bop to something.
Remember when Mitch McConnell just kind of shut down a couple of times?
Yeah.
It was like that, where he just was standing there, blank expression, not looking around.
I'm on the record as I don't care for the president, don't like him, don't agree with him on anything.
Yeah.
They're voting for Trump, and that's all there is to it.
Right.
But I hate watching that. I mean,
it's hard.
I don't like seeing. It's like watching John Fetterman struggle, and Fetterman's improved a lot since then. But it was like watching, I watched Dianne Feinstein literally have to go change her diaper at a committee here. I'm like, why don't you quit? I mean, are you that obsessed with yourself?
I think they just at that stage, she just does what they tell her to do.
But
it's you're running again.
Why isn't anybody upset about it? I mean, why don't people go, you know what? I don't want to be well, how could you go vote for that?
We don't think like they do, though. They want the power. For us, it's like we think about the person before we think about the power.
I saw Strom Thurmond get wheeled in a few times for a few votes.
Goodness.
I don't know that that's necessarily a partisan thing. Mitch McConnell, they got to airlift him into.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it gets to the point where it's like, do you know? It's kind of like somebody. I hate to compare it to this, but it's like watching a 70 or 80-year-old rocker still at a concert 40 years past their prime, and they don't know anything else. They've never done anything else. They can't quit because they don't. And maybe this is I could say it with a professional wrestler. I could say it with a boxer. They all think they got one more fight left in them, and that no one can stop and go, you know what? I'm making myself look stupid.
Right.
And I don't get why anyone would want, the other thing, because Jill Biden's somebody I hate. How could she sit there and let the world make fun of her husband? I've watched Australian and New Zealand news, and they make fun of Biden.
Sky News in Australia.
They're like, this guy fell down again. It's like, God, I mean, they've said interesting things about all our presidents, and that's fine because there's plenty of people over there I don't care for either.
Yeah.
But how do you, if you really loved somebody, I could never let my wife stand up there and not have the faculties to do everything. I would take her home and I'd take care of her, and I would never allow that to be seen by the public. President Reagan, when he really got sick with ulcers, you didn't see him in public anymore.
Right.
It was now he's going to retire. He served his duty, and he's going to go live out the rest of his years. He's not going to be made a fool of in public.
Yeah.
There was a conscious effort by the family, and I've got my pros and cons on certain members of the Reagan family, but none of them would say a bad word about President Reagan. None of them would hurt him like that in any way. And I don't understand it.
Yeah. I don't either.
I mean, it's like Biden's like the Keith Richards of politics here. I mean, it's just, when does it stop?
Really? Yeah. Well, the thing is, the Rolling Stones are still on top of their game. I mean,
well, you could think that. Just because
have you watched any clips of them?
Just because you were 39 when Satisfaction came out, that doesn't mean anything.
Mick Jagger's 80 years old. He's still dancing around that stage and singing those songs.
Well, and I'll credit Willie Nelson. He's 91 and he's still on the road doing
He is.
okay.
He was just in Duluth not too long ago. My mom saw him or heard him from outside.
One of the greatest quotes: "You slow down, you go down." Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Credit to him. I mean, but I just think I don't know. If I were wearing Depends, the last thing I would be doing is worried about a Senate confirmation hearing from some idiot judge who I don't like. I don't like any of them anyway.
Right.
So, whatever.
Anyways, so you know the song or what?
Yes.
Really?
No, I don't.
Oh.
It's Africa by Toto.
I didn't even mention Africa.
Oh, didn't you?
No.
Okay. It is Richard Marx.
No.
Is
That
that
communist.
All I know is he sang the song at the end of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah. I'll be right here waiting for you. Is that
No, it was Every Time You Go Away.
That's Tom Waits or John Waits. Sorry.
Oh, is it him?
John Waits,
I thought it was the other guy.
No.
All right, screw that communist then.
Yeah.
It's the Heartbreakers and Tom Skerritt.
No.
Or Petty, I mean.
Tom Petty. Tom
I don't
Skerritt.
know who the
Tom
hell is.
Skerritt's an actor.
Yeah, I was thinking I had Top Gun on my mind. What is it? I don't know.
The song is called "It's a Mistake" by Men at Work.
Oh, I know them.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that band, so I get partly credit because I know that band.
Personally?
Absolutely. Good friends of mine. See, I've saw them on television, but I've never actually met them. So, yeah. I don't.
It's like in Rocky 2 when the nurse comes to him asking for an autograph of my good friend Billy, whom I never met.
Say, what do you think you're doing for the next 40 or 50 years? I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Just not to get on too far off the subject, but you want great dialogue in a movie, it's Mick and Rocky.
Yeah.
And it was never the same after Mick died. Love Apollo. No. Love Paulie.
Yeah.
Burt Young, great actor.
Yes.
But just the Mick Rocky dialogue is the greatest dialogue of anything you can think of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the simplicity, just the simplicity of it. It's all you need. So, by the way,
yes,
I won't spoil this.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube, watch Dr. Phil's interview with Trump.
I've seen some clips from it, not the whole thing, but I've seen some clips, and he really made Trump think about some things he hadn't yet. But
Phil was good, but fair.
Yeah.
Trump was responsive, and it's a great conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was good. And kudos to Dr. Phil for getting that interview.
Yeah.
And kudos for Trump for doing it. I mean, he sat down with Phil for like an hour. It was not a short interview.
Yeah.
It's quite over 45 minutes or something like that. It was really good. You got to go out of your way to see it sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, here's Dr. Phil. He's 74. He's retired off of his show now, but he's still a whirlwind out there.
He just put out a book, right?
We got issues.
Yeah.
I've heard it's really good. I haven't read it.
I've heard the same. He's kind of got a mission now in life. Not that he didn't have one before, but this new phase of his life, and it's I applaud it.
And I'll tell you, the one thing that he talks about when he talks about the decline of the country, and he always talks about the health of the family.
Mm-hmm.
He is a believer in faith and family, even though he tries hard not to be political. I got a good idea where he stands.
Oh, yes.
But he tries hard not to be.
Yeah.
He doesn't go there. But the interview's definitely worth 5 minutes with Dr. Phil. To pick him up with Aunt Jemima's spatula, probably. But June 27th, the debate's coming in a couple of weeks. Are we reading Biden's epitaph yet? Or?
I don't know. There's people who think that that's going to be the catalyst for the beginning of the end for Mr. President Joe Biden. I'm not.
I don't agree.
certain.
I told you I don't think it can happen now.
Yeah.
This were February. I'd agree at this point. The fix has to be in, and the fix isn't in.
Right.
So, like I told you
And
before,
it's
though,
close.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised Harris is still there. That's the one I'm surprised.
Yeah?
Because,
Well.
like I said, she brings nothing.
I mean, we'll see. They could get to the Democratic election or the convention, and it might be when they coronate him. She might be like there, like within 10 feet of President Biden, and they might go, now pronouncing the Democratic nominee for President, Joe Biden and Gavin Newsom, and she might. She might not even know it before that moment.
Gavin might not help him, though.
No.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but it could be one of those deals where she thinks she's in until they actually announce it.
Possibly.
I
mean, it's quote unquote Biden's decision. Whoever Biden's handlers are, whoever the real president is.
Although, if we know anything, that side is terrible at not leaking things. So
Right.
I don't know.
And
It's probably not likely.
right, and again, I think the rumbling that you're hearing is just Dems saying out loud what they've been saying in private for 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's some people, like I said, like Axelrod, Carville, have been
Yeah.
saying it for a while, and they're not really being listened to. So maybe, I don't know. But, I mean, when I look at Harris, like I said to you before, what does she bring to this ticket? Nothing.
Yeah.
And Biden's age makes her a huge issue.
Yes.
You know, because it's like, okay, if he's doesn't make it,
Yeah.
you don't want her. So she brings him down. And he can't go much further down.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't understand why it would be way easier to replace her because the delegates are under no obligation. They're not bound. Some delegates are bound to who
Right.
their state has unless they get released. And with vice presidents, it's not like that.
Right.
So replacing her could happen quickly. But again, the fix has to be in. They got to have somebody lined up, ready to go. It's not as simple, but it's way easier to do that than to do a president, which in August is almost impossible.
Right.
With early voting and with, having to run commercials, and some of them have 2 weeks of lead time. I mean, I don't get how they could do that in August, but whatever.
Yeah.
Summer entertainment, folks, like the OJ trial back in the 90s. Okay, just laugh at it, watch it, enjoy it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
So, what else is new, Jay?
I don't know. Usually, summer's the time people kind of just tune out for a while. They go to the beach, they have a picnic.
It's hard to tune out, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't buy that people. I mean, I think people.
There's too much going on right now.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here in Minnesota, we're going to talk about Minnesota, the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Just a quick sidebar. Do we have to suffer for Amy Klobuchar for another 6 years?
I'm sure.
What is it with her? Why does she win by so much?
I don't understand. I really don't understand.
But in
Right.
I mean, every other statewide election is 51-47, including Tina Smith, including Al Franken, including Tim Walz. Why is it that they can't lay a glove on Klobuchar?
I don't get it. She has voted for everything that the Democrats have done. Every Joe Biden policy, every Barack Obama policy.
But how does she get a reputation as a moderate?
I don't know, because she's not.
Where does it come from?
She's not.
Is it the media?
She's
moderate and compared to what? Omar?
I suppose. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if she's tough on crime anymore. She used to be.
Well, in comparison to DA's
yes.
Mary Moriarty, Barney Fife was tough on crime.
Right. But I mean, I know that there are factions that are upset with with some of the decisions that she made as a prosecutor and some of the hard lines that she held.
Right, but does she still hold? How does
I
she
don't
not?
know.
Why does she never get taken to the woodshed? I mean, it seems like everybody else. There's a primary challenge, or there's
right.
Nobody's coronated all the time, and she, for some reason, is coronated.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, again, she has voted for every single Democratic policy that has come up in the Senate, and whether it is she has backed Joe Biden, she's backed Barack Obama.
Okay,
but yet she's quiet, and I think that's part of it. Is like she's not standing out like AOC stands out. If she was loud like that and always in our face, I think there'd be something to say for that.
And there's something about a woman doing that people don't like either. I got to admit, I don't like it when a woman does that. I'm totally honest about it. The most unattractive thing on a woman to me is big mouth.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's unbecoming of a lady. That's my opinion. I don't mean strong as in you don't have opinions or you don't. That's not what I mean. But when you listen to, how do I put this? How do I put this without getting into serious trouble?
Too late.
Well, I'm trying to think of an example I can give of just, when you think of just a loudmouth woman in your face telling you what to do, there's just men can't stand that. They may not all admit it, but they can't stand it.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of women who don't like it either. Like, oh,
I'm not a fan of men that talk a lot, though, either. I don't know. I like to follow.
I don't like being talked down to.
It's funny because here we are, like, this is what we do is we talk on a podcast every week for 2 hours. But I don't like it when, I don't know. I try to live by the old saying that, if you keep quiet, people will find more wisdom in what you say when you do talk.
Maybe it's that she's not an angry person.
Yeah.
She smiles a lot.
Yeah.
I have met her. She was very cordial to me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she knew who I was, although when I first got on Twitter, she followed me right away, and I was running for mayor at the time.
Yeah.
So did Keith Ellison. I didn't follow them. They followed me first. So I don't know. I'm not saying I'm any kind of big deal. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But maybe there's something about a person who is nice and approachable. There's something about a person who is not angry or a smartass or, I don't know if that's part of it.
Like AOC, Rashida Tlaib, they just have abrasive personalities.
Yeah, you don't see Klobuchar angrily shouting at a we're feminists and we're in your face, or we're
right.
Maybe that contributes to it. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't make it a men-women thing. Just for some reason with women, it gets under my skin more. But look, the snobby Chuck Schumer kind of thing gets under my skin too.
Yeah.
So maybe it is something like that. But I just don't get. It's kind of like looking at. Like I was studying it's interesting how there's no polling right now out of the state of Montana.
Yeah.
On that Senate race. There's none, zero, zilch. There hasn't been polling in months.
Right.
As soon as the Republican took the lead, they stopped polling. And John Tester is another one of these guys who votes with the Democrats 99% of the time, and then comes home and, nope, I'm a moderate. He does what he has to do to get reelected.
Right.
Okay, now is Klobuchar one of them? Is it, because you got 6 years. It's a lot to forget in 6 years.
Right.
People remember what happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So is there that? But I can tell you that I can't recall the MNGOP candidates running against her. I can't think of anything. Right. I remember an ad I've seen. I don't know what is it with ignoring her. It's like they just concede it.
Yeah, I mean, with the Republicans that run Senate races against her, I mean, they almost never drag her into the race. It's like they run this race totally separate, like they're running for an open seat against nobody.
In 2018, she went down to Iowa, campaigned for president.
Yeah.
They didn't put a glove on her. How?
Yeah. I don't know.
I just, the only thing I can think of is she's either so well funded that, and so ahead by so much that the Republican against her can't raise money. The Senate Republican committees don't put any money. Look at what's going on right now. You've got the Ohio race, the Montana race, the Arizona race. Yeah. You've got, I think, a sleeper race in New Jersey, Bob Menendez's seat.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a sleeper race, especially if Trump makes that state close.
Yes.
You've got Wisconsin, an open seat in Michigan, Pennsylvania. You got all of these seats up.
Yeah.
Republicans, screw it. Screw Minnesota. We got 9 other races we can win. We're going to put our money there.
Right. Well, and this is the other thing, that maybe we've just never been able to run a Senate race the right way since
Norm Coleman, Dave Durenberger. I don't know. Go back.
But what did we do to win those races? Because
well, Norm was pretty high profile.
Yeah, but Tina Smith is a terrible candidate, and she won re-election.
Well, keep in mind she was appointed first, but yeah, I mean,
right, she was appointed first, so she came in as an incumbent, but still, she's awful.
Well, her votes are 95% with Klobuchar. Why isn't it? Tina Smith literally has legislation to expand to court pack.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they can't lay a glove on They can't lay a glove on her either. I mean, she gets way less a percentage of the vote.
Absolutely.
But why does Klobuchar win by 30?
That's a fantastic question. You know,
can I make a prediction?
She's got a record. Why aren't they calling her on a record? That's what you need to do, is make people aware of what she's done.
But you have 6 years to do that. You can't start that now. It's too late.
Absolutely not.
The endorsed Republican candidate, I'll just say this, has less money in his campaign account right now than I have in my checking account. So if there's any chance to beat Klobuchar, it's not happening with him.
Now, let me say this. This may be shocking to some of you that listen to this show, but as tuned in as we are, as much as we talk about what's going on in the state, our nation, what's going on in the world, I can't name who's running against her. Who's running against her?
The Royce White.
Oh, is it Royce? Oh, that's his race. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Royce White. How did I think he was in a different race?
I don't know. There's some Fraser guy challenging him in the primary.
Yeah, well,
who's got the backing of sort of the machine. If there is one.
But see, that's how good of job the Republicans have done. I've heard about Royce White. I've heard that he's a firecracker. Like, people love him. They hate him. But it didn't occur to me what race he was running. That's how good the Republicans have done at putting him out in the forefront so that people know what's going on.
Well, he's a social media talker, and that's...
he's got a podcast.
Yeah, well...
how many people listen to that podcast? Not enough to get him the win.
Right, but he's got to go other places. I mean, you have to go in front of audiences that you haven't heard from you.
Right. Okay, you played for the Houston Rockets. You have some notoriety.
Is that where he played? I don't know.
Yeah. So you had some notoriety there. You have a name that you can fall back on. But that can't be your campaign either. You can't just rely on your name and your podcast.
Sure, look at Matt Burke. I mean, it won't work.
No.
You got me. I don't have any idea.
But, I mean, this just goes to further the point. Republicans don't know how to run a Senate race. If you want the entire state to vote for him, his name has to be everywhere all of the time. You have to saturate the market so that everybody's heard of it. And that's definitely not happening.
May 18th, 2024, he won the Republican Party endorsement.
Yeah.
He's 33 years old.
Yeah?
I don't even
33, wow.
I don't know who was running. I don't have a...
When did he move here? How many seasons did he play?
I don't know, but he's from De La Salle High School, so he was here originally. I think that's where he went and played basketball in high school.
Okay.
Got me 6'8". He's a big dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Joe Frazier, not to be mistaken for the former world champ.
I wouldn't think he was running.
Joe, down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. So, yeah, it's going to be all ugly here.
Ugh.
Just all ugly.
Yeah.
But there's questions about his finances, about... he ran for CD5 last time.
Okay.
Cecilia Davis beat him in the primary.
Yeah.
So, you got me. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, here's a little free advice. You're not even hiring us, MNGOP, for this advice, but he's got to get some FaceTime with the state of Minnesota in person. But mailers.
Well, you've seen this. You saw this with Kurt Bills. You saw this with, I can't think of the guy who ran against Klobuchar last time. I should know it.
Right.
There you go. Newhouse or Newhart or whatever his name was. I don't know.
Phil Newhart?
No, isn't that Bob?
Bob
Newbill? Newhart? Yeah.
Newville? What?
Isn't that Larry, Daryl, and Daryl? Isn't that Bob Newhart?
Yeah. That's it.
So, Newberger. I think that was his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim Newberger.
As opposed to the old burger.
Yes.
So, yeah.
See, and we're in the game, and this is how we struggle. That should be your first clue, MNGOP.
Can I just say I don't care? I don't care. I don't care anymore.
Well, I care. I know you care too. You're doing that for a fact.
No, I'm not. I don't care. I'll vote for Scooby Doo. I'll write in Seymour Butts.
You do not want the Democrats to have control of the Senate. For
no, I
4
don't.
years.
No, I don't. But you know what? There's a limit to what I'll tolerate.
Whatever.
There just is a limit to what I'll tolerate. And I said it last time too. When I refused to vote for Kim Crockett, I just said, you've gone to a point that I can't go there. You know, get pissed at me if you want, okay? And that's fine. But, you know,
I don't know.
I'm not the person that you... I didn't put up a loon. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, just... I ain't going to go there. And if they don't like it, they can lump it.
Yeah. Well, all I know is they got to take the whole thing if they want to roll back some of this crap. Actually pass some laws instead of just have executive orders. Finish the wall. Get
on a
rid
federal level.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, that's what Klobuchar is. Yes.
Well, again, I mean, Biden and the Democrats win. You're going to have 10 million more illegal aliens. You're going to have packing the court because Sinema and Manchin are gone. And they were two of the people stopping that.
Absolutely.
You're going to have, you've already destroyed Title IX. Where are the women's groups? I don't understand where they are.
No.
They're all hiding above baking cookies. I don't know what they're doing. So it's going to be 100 times worse. So
right.
It's fair to say that those are choices. So
absolutely.
But I will say this, and this is something that's worrying me. And I'm not going to include President Trump in this, but most Republicans, I'm not hearing that from them.
Right.
Trump's an exception, and there's other ones too, but not many.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know if it's the nice guy stuff again, or they're trying to fundraise, or look at. You know what? Look at Donald Trump and the way he talks, and look at the money that's rolled in his campaign.
Yeah.
In the last 3 million donors in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Most of it's small donations.
And Trump don't mince words. He doesn't try to make friends. He doesn't co-opt. Is that not a lesson in Washington, the failure of Washington Republicans?
Yes. And, sorry, I think it trickles down.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah, absolutely it does.
There are very few states that actually have an organization that knows how to run races at a from the Republican Party.
There's a handful. Florida's one.
Yep, Florida, Ohio, Texas.
There's 6 states. The other ones are Republican by default.
Right.
Because they're rural and they're
You could run
Christian.
Joe Biden as a Republican and he'd win.
Yeah. I mean, Idaho has more buffalo than they have Democrats. I mean, it's not an accomplishment to go out there and win with an R by your name.
And there's plenty of bad Republicans in those states.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Especially at the state house level. Yeah, no doubt. Kansas is another state where I'm surprised.
What is going on in Kansas?
I don't know. But, I mean, it's a state that I want to say Trump won by 28 or 24, and yet the people they produce just...
Yeah.
I don't know. Kentucky is another state that I don't get how a state has... I don't get how their Democratic governor won, and I don't get how Rand Paul won. I
know. Well, look, I mean, both of your senators are conservative, and then you have Andy Bashar as the governor.
I don't know. You'd say I would say this: you got Rand Paul, you got Bashar, and McConnell is somewhere in between.
Well, yeah.
So I don't know about that.
McConnell's not any good.
Tom Massey, he's from Kentucky.
Yep, Massey's great.
Yeah,
that's
so
what I was thinking of. Yeah,
yeah. So
Massey's great.
Yeah. So explain it to me. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Couldn't tell you. A totally uncompetitive state.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time they voted Democrat. They might have voted for Clinton once, because Perot took 15% of the vote or something. But for the most part, you got to go back to the solid South to find, Kentucky consistently voting Democratic.
Right.
They voted Democratic then for a different reason.
Well, although they were split because Mason-Dixon line kind of ran right through Kentucky. They really didn't want to pick a side.
Back in the Civil War time, they were the great mediator. Henry Clay was his state. John Crittenden that tried to foster that.
Yeah.
But to me, Kentucky, and I've been through there, I would...
Yeah. I've been there many, many times.
It has a southern feel to it more than a northern identity.
Absolutely. I'm half Kentuckian, so I've been down there a number of times, and it's definitely, at least now, feels way more southern. But you start to get that in southern Indiana, southern Iowa. People start to get a bit of a drawl.
Well, even in Cincinnati, you can hear it.
Oh, yeah. But that's...
yeah. Well, you're on the Ohio River, the border there. I mean,
right. Well, although the further east you go, the further north the South crept. You had like Delaware and stuff, which were kind of
Maryland
border states.
Maryland was a slave state for a long time, north of Washington D.C.
Yeah,
it's true. All right.
Yeah.
Jay, why do we live here? Can you answer me that? Why do we live in Minnesota? Because you talk about being half Kentuckian.
Yeah.
And I don't know how bad it gets in Kentucky, but it can't get this bad.
Well,
from a legislative
probably
standpoint.
true.
It just can't be this bad.
It's probably true. I know down there things are a lot simpler, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean that in a very good way.
Exactly. It's a great way.
Life just... They don't get all convoluted on a lot of this stuff.
I want to say something about the end of the legislative session before we even think about talking about it. Something has to change with how they do business. I don't know how to make this change.
Yeah.
Something has to change because I am sick and tired of one party winning one chamber by 2 votes or one by 1 vote.
Right.
Because to me, a representative republic is not about, well, I've got a majority by 1 vote and I don't give a crap. I'm going to...
That's democracy.
even that,
2 wolves and 1 sheep deciding what's for dinner.
Yeah.
That's democracy.
I think the first thing, you know what I'd really like to see?
Yeah.
You don't pass nothing until it passes with like 2/3 majority.
Yeah.
Because I am just I've had it at the federal level too. You know, we're going to ramrod what we want to because we got the majority by 1 vote out of 500.
And disenfranchise half of the country. It's ridiculous.
But there's no incentive. Look at Minnesota.
Yeah.
You got 134 districts or House seats.
Yeah.
20 of them are competitive. All the money goes there. They decide the rest of the state.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I don't know how to change it, but I hate it.
Yeah.
And I think that if it weren't true that if I had a 70 to 66 majority, I can just do whatever I want then.
Right.
Wouldn't that expand both parties? Wouldn't both parties go, okay, well, there's 60 seats we're not going to win, so we're just going to care about 7?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that change everything about the state? Now, I don't know how to go about that because the morons at the legislature would have to vote for that for themselves, which they ain't gonna.
Right.
We have a governor who I don't know if he knows what a veto pen is. I don't know if he knows what that means. He just is a lackey. We may as well not even have him. What function does he serve? He just signs whatever's in front of him. Might as well not be there.
Right.
My cat could do that. I mean, he's useless. I mean, the Constitution of the state, which talks about legislation should not contain more than a single subject.
Right. That's laughable.
Single subject.
Yeah.
Okay? Which is abused every day of the week.
Yeah. Instead, they make us into subjects.
Right.
Well, they do whatever they want up there with no recourse for us.
So, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix it. You know what it's going to take? They're going to have to blow themselves up. I'm being facetious here.
Yeah.
They're going to have to all quit, or they're going to have to all get on a ship that sinks in the ocean for this to change. I mean, we have a court that won't do their job. They don't apply the law the way they're supposed to. Single subject.
Yeah.
Look what they just did at the end of the session. I mean, that ought to go straight to the Supreme Court.
It should.
And ought to get struck down today.
It should. Both those 2 new justices that they appointed, that'll never happen.
No, because the very people that did it are the same people who do the appointing.
Right.
Oh, we got the judges, so we can do what we want. Well, so the whole idea that we function, all the people saving democracy out there.
Right.
You tell me we've got a democratic process here in Minnesota.
Yeah, we don't.
And I have argued for a single house legislature where you've got to pass either 60 or 67% to pass something.
Yeah.
We have a governor with a line item veto. You'd think that would be a nice carrot and stick, but it takes a governor to use that.
Right.
So when the governor signs, I mean, does Walz realize he's losing power every day by just rubber stamping whatever the legislature does? He could send a message.
Yeah.
His party's in charge. Why don't they?
No, we have a very weak governor. Now, let me say that I believe in a weak executive. I mean, that's the way our framers planned it. The president was never supposed to be as powerful as they are. It's supposed to be a co-equal branch of government with the judicial branch and the legislative branch, and they each have checks and balances on each other. But when you have the ability to have a check on the legislature and you don't ever use it,
But see, that's the problem. The problem is that the governor needs to recognize, whoever the governor is, needs to recognize that it's not all about them. It's not all about their agenda. There's something bigger than that. I mean, I don't want to get lectured by people like Tim Walz about saving democracy when you see him condone what happened at the end of this legislature.
Right.
He should say, this is invalid. I'm not signing this 2,800 pages of BS.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want a special session either, okay? But they've had 4 months to pass something. If they didn't do it, whose fault is that?
Right.
It's the majority's fault. So I don't want to hear they went out and tried to blame Republicans for this.
Yes.
And I sat there and I thought to myself, wait a minute. Republicans can't do anything to you guys.
Right.
The bonding bill's an exception, but how in the world is it their fault when you had 4 months to pass something, you chose not to, you tried to jam it all in at the end, and then you blame somebody else? It's just, come on.
Yeah. It was almost as if they were doing their best Republican impression.
Yeah, well, they almost did. They got too much done.
They did get too much done.
Republicans would have done nothing. They just screwed up everything. But I listened to Melissa Horrible, and I'm just like, between her, Aaron Murphy, and Walz, which one's Larry, Darryl, and Daryl?
I don't know.
Okay. But I listened to her, and she goes, oh, well, hey, we did what we had to do. We don't, basically said, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about the procedure. She cared when she was the minority leader, of course.
Uh-huh.
But doesn't care now. Hey, my team's ahead by 1 vote. So if you don't like it, F you. That was pretty much what she said, if I could sum it up. Now, Murphy was a little more diplomatic about it, but she still tried to. What is it with why won't politicians take some? I would rather have Melissa Hortman tell me I did what I had to and screw you, than stand up there, pass a bunch of BS, and then try to claim that it wasn't your fault. It's kind of like,
right.
I'd rather have somebody nakedly tell me, I don't care what you think.
Right.
Dude, vote me out if you don't like it.
Yeah, well, and this is the thing. I mean, to watch what happened at the end of that session, where they cut off debate. It's like, the Republicans had a whole bunch of people that still were waiting to speak on behalf of a bill, and
amendments and there's
add amendments and all that, and instead, no, we're just going to vote. I don't understand. I mean, I understand what their ploy is and how they don't care. I understand that they're willing to break the rules, cheat, do whatever they need to do in order to get the result that they want. But, I mean, sometimes it still even blows my mind the depths that they'll go to accomplish the ends.
I don't know. I think there's nothing that they won't do.
Yeah.
I don't put anything past them. I have still said this, and I'm gonna go off of Minnesota for a minute.
Yeah.
But I've said this before. And I remember when Tucker Carlson interviewed President Trump last year.
Yeah.
And he said, do you think they're going to try to kill you?
Huh.
I mean, what else can they do? They tried to bankrupt. And I know Trump kind of, I don't want to say sidestepped it, but he just said, well, we're just focused on winning, and I'm not worried about that. I don't believe him.
Right.
But I think to myself, yeah. It wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me if he were offed.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't shock me if Biden were off. They try to blame Trump for it.
Hillary Clinton already has some practice at that.
Yeah,
so.
But would that shock
allegedly.
me? Yeah. Would that shock me? No.
Yes.
They tried to link them to foreign. I mean, you think about what they've done here in this state in the last 2 years, from saying 5-year-olds can switch their gender, and the only thing you can do is affirm it. You can't do anything else.
Sorry, I won't do that. I'll go to jail first.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not going to do that.
What wouldn't they do?
Yeah.
I mean, what won't they do? I can't think of anything.
Right.
I mean, when you talk about what they do on election day, what they do with ballot harvesting, I mean, illegal aliens. I mean, I don't know what the limit is anymore. And you're right. It gets harder and harder to be surprised and or shocked. And I always think the pendulum is swinging back. Mm-hmm. But I also worry that what the Dems have built in institutions has made swinging the pendulum back so hard.
Yeah.
Because you can elect all new people, but the resistance from, quote, the system is so ferocious that I don't know that it can be broken. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know that the Dems' control over our education system can be broken. It's going to take more than just Republicans to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have people that are willing to stand up to the teachers' union.
But let me even take a minute. Where are women standing up for women in sports?
I don't know.
Why is Riley Gaines hated by feminists? She's standing up for women.
Yep.
Well, feminists are look at what's happened to Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's done more for women's basketball and not even tried.
Right. She's barely getting started.
And she's growing your sport. She's
right.
not hurting it. She's helping it.
But,
yet there's anger.
Yeah.
There's resentment. And unless she goes out and endorses Black Lives Matter, I don't know how.
But this is
she
what
won't
they do.
conform. That's part of it too. She won't conform to them.
Yeah, but look what happened to Tim Tebow. Was he the best quarterback ever? Yeah. No, but he took Denver deep into the playoffs, and he didn't have a job next year.
Yeah,
I mean, really,
he was traded. They got Peyton Manning. That was their excuse, but they wanted him out.
Yeah,
why? I mean,
this is what happens, though. You know, there is bias against conservatives. I mean, go back to basketball. Look what's happened with is it Enes Kanter? Is that his name? Or Enes Freedom Kanter? Came out as a conservative. He's from Turkey, I think. And he has been, I think, pretty much drummed out of the league, or all but drummed out of the league. It's okay to be conservative as long as you keep your mouth shut. But as soon as you start standing for traditional family values, as soon as you start standing for truth.
Well, and also it's when the sport chooses to be political.
Yeah.
You know, hockey tried to embrace gay pride.
And
their players were like,
balloon.
no, I don't want to wear this. I'm not making statements about blah, blah, blah. You know, I mean, basketball, with all due respect, for a while endorsed the gangster rap, yo mama, yo mama. I mean, football has endorsed Black Lives Matter a lot. Again, it's swinging back.
Right, because it really did hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, but I mean, I hate to say it, the people who run that with the corporations are the ones, they're the ones pushing politics.
Right.
So a lot of times individuals saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And I remember, and there's exceptions. I know people don't like the Cowboys, but I remember Jerry Jones putting out a statement. You don't stand for that national anthem, you can walk the hell out of my stadium and leave.
Yeah.
You know, there was pushback on that.
Yeah.
And some other owners did that too. But by and large, the corporations were quiet.
Right.
The league took we're not going to say anything.
Yep.
And it's like, but yet they'll embrace gay pride and demand that you wear a uniform with a rainbow on it.
Yeah. And I can tell you, most of your Christians that are playing sports, and there are quite a few of them, aren't not going to want to do it. You're forcing them to do something that it's against their religion to do.
Well, and imagine if they were a Muslim. Would we force them to do something?
And Muslims won't want to do that either. And there are some Muslim players in some of the sports, and they're not going to want to do that either.
Oh.
You know, I mean, you've had, like, going back to the state government, you've had certain leaders in the Muslim community that have gone to St. Paul to talk on some of these issues when it came to adding trans to the Human Rights Act and all of that. It's, you know, they're quieter about that, and, you know, again,
they're sort of reluctant to cross the Democrats too much.
Exactly, and they're
the problem is their leadership is so in bed with the Dems,
yes,
and they are detached a little bit from their, lunch pail crowd, if you will.
Right. Well, and some of that is with these Palestinian. And this is a whole nother show. The color revolutions that are being set up here in this country, just like have been set up with the Arab Spring to overthrow Ukraine. Our State Department's been involved in all of that. And they're doing the same thing here. The same funding organizations are lining up and doing the same exact things to raise up the youth and in these enclaves to cause trouble. And I don't think that the Muslims really want to cross the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party, even though some of these people would be thrown off the top of a building if they were in the Gaza Strip or Iran or wherever, that they're helping to accomplish a purpose, and they're willing to work together for said purpose. So you're not going to find a lot of them wanting to speak out. They're accepting Queers for Palestine because it's helping to further their cause,
which is interesting because
but they're just being used.
Yeah, go into Iran and be gay and see how you get treated in that Muslim country. You end up hanging by.
What did they famously say? We have no gay people in Iran. Well, that's because they kill them. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. They don't say so. So let's just run down some of the things that got passed here, Jay.
Yeah.
A lot of cannabis stuff. What
you don't say.
You know, I'm not obsessed with cannabis. I just don't get what the and I don't buy all the medical benefits. You telling me there's nothing you could do but smoke dope?
Yeah, in this day and age, I mean, there are a lot of options. I don't know how I feel about some of the medicine that's coming out either, because of the list of side effects. And
well, here's the thing. I mean, we just went through
a
COVID quote unquote vaccine. Doesn't that give you like pause on anything right now?
Yeah.
You know, doesn't that kind of get you to go, well, you know, maybe we should do some more trials. Maybe we should wait until. No, look, I'm not saying somebody with paraphernalia should get thrown in jail for 5 years either. I ain't saying that.
Right.
But the obsession with you make it legal, but you can't sell it for 2 years. Well, what the hell is that?
You can't sell it for 2 years.
Well, yeah. Remember the whole thing about not setting up licenses? You can only buy them on reservations or something.
Yeah.
Again, I am sick and tired of this Uber Lyft thing. I'm beyond sick of it.
Yeah.
But why is the state diving into this, paying drivers and setting a minimum for that? What is behind that? Is it all just because Minneapolis, screwed everything up, or what?
Yeah, I mean, they did.
They did, but Minneapolis can deal with the consequences then.
Yeah, they should, because things were still working outside of Minneapolis.
So now we've made everything about an Uber or Lyft more. I think they want Uber and Lyft out of business.
Probably.
I think they want public transit. They want to control where you go. They don't want outside companies being able to do this.
Well, you're controlling climate change too by getting more Uber and Lyft drivers off the streets. All the idling while you're waiting for your person to come out, and all the driving back and forth across the city, and it is ridiculous.
Hey, I kind of do like this one. Ticket fees. I've always complained about this.
Yeah.
That all the prices should be there. Not fees added and delivery charge or something. That is frustrating. I don't know that we need a law.
Yeah.
But boy, does that piss me off when I see that.
Yeah.
You want to buy tickets to the Twins game. All right, here, they're for sale for $20. Then you go buy them, and all of a sudden it's $35.
Right.
When you pay
all the
these
hidden fees, yeah.
So
it's almost as bad as your utility bill.
No kidding. And how about we do that for banks and other people too?
No kidding.
How about, why does it cost me money to take out my own cash? Of course, they don't want you using cash. That's
right.
Probably why. So.
Yeah.
Met Council light rail governance. Of course, nothing changed there.
Right.
This is from MinPost. I should say that. We are dating this on May 21st. Real big, hard-hitting reporting here by Peter Callaghan. Two DFL transportation, leading DFLers on transportation, had enough of what they saw as an unaccountable regional government. Well, it's been there since 1967. Sure took a while.
Yeah.
They created a task force, which is a great way of saying we're going to do nothing.
Right.
Into changing it from an appointed one to an elected one. Oh,
now what have we said about this for years now? Because even the Republicans have looked at making it into an elected body. You tell me, all you listeners out there, without going to Google, without going and searching it up on the Secretary of State website, why don't you put in the comments who are your county commissioners? Who's on your school board? Who's the district attorney? You might know that in Hennepin County because
your sheriff, your soil,
who represents you on the soil and water?
It's on your watershed.
And if you can name them, can you tell me at least one position that they hold? That is exactly what will happen with an elected Met Council. You're basically making people feel good that they have a voice, but you are giving them you're just going to be shoving more Democrats down their throats is all that's going to happen, and it's not going to change a thing other than you're electing them rather than appointing them. You have to get rid of the Met Council and reduce it down to the very, very primary function of maintaining wastewater.
And even that, I question whether that's necessary anymore.
Yeah.
With the suburbs built out now in the 7-county metro, do you really need that?
Maybe, because like in Crystal, Robbinsdale, they use Minneapolis water that comes out of the river. I mean, it's more regional. I can understand a need for that.
Could be a county function, though, too.
It could be. Yeah, you could put it in the county for sure.
I don't know. I don't know. My whole thing is that I don't understand. And here's the other thing. When you create a task force, why do you put legislators on the task force?
Because you have an agenda?
But I mean, they're the ones that have screwed this up. So why are they there? It was like, I remember Obama's debt commission was filled with a bunch of current and former politicians. I'm like, wait a minute. These are the people who caused this problem.
Right.
Why are they the ones we turn to fix it?
That's the way it always works, right? Problem, reaction, solution, right?
A task force is a great way. It's like, I always say this. It's like that part in Revenge of the Nerds. When Lambda goes in front of the Greek council, and the guy from Happy Days says, Oh, I'm going to create a blue ribbon commission to Stan Gable. I'm going to create a blue ribbon commission to look into who trashed your house. I don't know who did it, but we'll give us a year to create a commission and look into it. Me and Ogre and Burke, we're all going to look into it, and we'll get back to you. That's creating a blue ribbon task force. That's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
We'll look into it, and when you forget about it or you're not paying attention, we'll just do nothing.
Exactly.
But let's put the people on it who screwed everything up in the first place. That's a great start.
Yes.
So, I mean, an elected Met Council is way worse. Horrible. But unfortunately, I think it has a lot of buy-in. Because, but you know what else it does too? It gets the legislature off the hook.
Right.
The legislature could say, hey, go talk to your elected Met Council guy.
Right.
I didn't do it.
Yep.
I think that might be part of it too. They just don't want to be held accountable.
Well, of course.
Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Hey, it wouldn't be any without more gun laws. Hey, you know what's great?
Yeah.
I watched the president's son get convicted on gun charges.
Yes.
Then the president goes out and gives a speech about the need to end gun violence. It's like, well, boy, you did a great job of that in your own home.
Right. I mean, granted, he was probably 42 at the time.
Yeah, Hunter's still probably living at home.
Yeah.
Here's my question.
True.
I mean,
yes.
well, what's he done beyond use his dad's name to get somewhere?
Right.
Let me ask this. How many more laws can you put? I always wonder, how many more laws can you ever bought a gun before?
Yeah.
Okay. There are so many rules about what can be sold.
Oh, I know.
I don't know how anyone runs a business doing it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. I mean,
Look, a gun's not a toy, and I get that.
yeah.
But there are some. You know what? I guess here's what I'm tired of. If I took any kind of weapon, and I went to Melissa Hortman or Aaron Murphy or somebody there, Ann Rest, laid it on their desk,
Yeah.
I would say to them, tell me what this gun is and how to use it, how to load it, how to fire it,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. And what do you want to bet they'd look at me with just blank?
Mm-hmm.
So then why are you making a law about it?
Exactly.
If you don't know jack squat, why are you telling me what I can and can't do with it?
And they don't. I bet you most of them couldn't tell you that the original use for an AR-15 was a hunting rifle, and it worked so well that the military then picked it up as their weapon of choice.
I've had gun control advocates think that AR stands for automatic rifle.
Which is stupid. Yeah.
AR is
stupid.
it's a model number. It's like
Yes.
Ford Bronco. That's
Yeah.
what it is. They
Right.
think it means automatic rifle. And it's just like,
Yeah.
how dumb can you get? But it's like, what's the automatic? What's the semi-automatic? How do you put this clip on or this magazine or load it? Or I mean, don't tell me about gun violence when you couldn't. I mean, you tell doctors how to perform brain surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So then why are you you don't make legislation telling them how to do it, do you?
Nope.
So what the hell? And I think that it's funny, as gun ownership has declined, and it's ticked back up now, but it seems like the ignorance has increased. Now, look.
Yes, it has.
I shot a gun when I was 6 years old. I've been around them forever. So to me, I can't relate to the single-minded obsession on it.
It's because they're scary, and they're taught that they're scary.
AOC is scary.
Yes. Yeah, I think we should make a law there. Maybe we could put some sort of muzzle or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
No straw buyers for AOC. I don't know. Yeah, gotta have a background check. No,
Right.
I don't know. I just but okay, they're scary. Well, I find there's a lot of things that are scary. Okay, they can't all be banned.
Right.
We live in a free country, don't we? I mean, the very same people who think that a drag queen can dance naked in front of a 5-year-old, they're just fine with that. But handgun, that's what you're super scared of?
Well,
how about you know what everybody ought to be required to do? Everybody ought to be required to learn about guns.
they should be. To have the opportunity to shoot one. Because most people that actually get to shoot a gun change their mind about them.
Well,
they may not buy one, but they see, this is kind of fun.
But competition shooting, sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe if kids were not taught to be scared of them,
Right.
or not taught, maybe if they were shown how to use the gun safely, with boundaries and limits, maybe it would change them.
If you couple that with actually teaching kids the value of life, yes, 100%.
But that's what I did. That's how I learned. Yeah. I went to gun safety. I was taught a gun wasn't a toy. I was supervised when I used it. I took it out hunting. And I never gave two thoughts to what I had in my hand.
Right. I mean, other than I have to be careful.
Well, of course. I meant,
right.
abusing that.
Yeah. Never in all of my years of handling firearms have I ever had a thought cross my mind, I'd like to use this against so-and-so. Never. Not one time has it ever even crossed my mind.
But here's the thing. The criminals are the criminals. Whether they legally buy a gun or not,
you're never going to get rid of the black market. It's not going to.
Have created the black market.
Right.
They've made the black market worse.
Yeah.
They've made it so where if I legally buy a gun, it's a pain in the ass. So the criminals don't legally buy it.
Right. They just go get one.
They find one.
Yes.
They, get one from Johnny down the street where they get their whatever else from. I mean, somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. That's how they do it. So I don't know. I don't understand. Every time we have, if all the laws that we've passed have worked, then we shouldn't have any of the issues that we have.
Right.
I mean, we had no gun laws 40 years ago, and nobody was shooting up a school.
No.
Nobody was. So what's changed?
Well, lots. We've devalued life, and we've taught our children to devalue life. We've put our kids on all these medicines that have screwed up their brains. We have taught them that they're not valuable. That they're not
decline
good
of the
enough.
family.
Yep, decline of the family, decline of faith. All these things have kind of coalesced into this one issue, and I guarantee you, if we put people back in church, if we urged families to stay together, if we taught people the value of life and how to handle a firearm safely, you would almost never have any issues at all.
If gang people want to go shoot each other, there's nothing you can do that stops that.
Right.
It just is what it is, unfortunately, because I don't wish that life or anything like that on anybody. It's terrible. But yeah, let's talk for a minute, too, about what didn't pass.
Okay.
In the legislature. We can come back to this stuff in a second. No bonding bill, Jay. What the hell?
Yeah, that's good.
It's good, but I got the feeling
they'll come back next year.
Well, I wonder why it didn't get passed. This is what I can't understand, because there's so many Republican sellouts on that, when Republicans had the Senate and Democrats had the House, the bonding bills passed with 80% of the vote. You'd think that would be one thing that they'd both agree on.
Right.
And the only thing I could think of, is that Republicans were holding it up for concessions, but they would have passed it. plenty of Republicans that would have voted for it. So you could look at no deficit spending as a good thing, or you can look at it as, boy, I'd take a bonding bill over some of the other things.
True.
I don't know. You know, there are legitimate things that the state should be funding.
Yes.
Why do they have to do it with bonding? I just don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, they take in plenty of tax money. I mean, have you tried driving anywhere this summer?
Oh my God, unfortunately.
Oh my word. 169 has been often completely shut down.
Go up by Elk River.
36th is shut down. 42nd has construction. Bass Lake Road has construction.
63rd, the bridge is out.
Yeah, 63rd, the bridge is out. Going down into Minneapolis through Brooklyn Center, down Brooklyn Boulevard. They have that closed off at, is that 49th there? Obviously, they've got money. They're all washing money. They have too much money. Hennepin County has too much money. The state has too much money. Something is wrong. There never used to be this much road construction in the summers. You'd run into it, but everything is torn up everywhere.
There was one summer, and I got into it with somebody at MnDOT over email.
Yeah.
I said, because they worked one time on 494, 100, 169, 35W, 35E, 694, and 494 all at the same time. Ugh. And I just said, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And 55 as well is all torn up like in 2 or 3 spots right now.
It's torn up. 55, 169 is torn up. 169, boy. If you have to go Maple Grove South, which I never have to do, really, so it's okay. Yeah. But you go up to Elk River, it's all one lane going. Main Street's torn up. Going 101 from Rogers, it's backed up all the way to Rogers. Going north every single day.
My goodness.
So,
but yet we don't have enough money.
Well, Jay, it's never enough. Don't you know that?
Well, that's true.
But yeah, the bonding bill, I mean, encompassed a lot of stuff in the past. So, Minskew, from everything to that to state parks, which I don't understand why it has to be bonded.
Right. I mean,
spent $70 billion, which is 3 times what we spent 25 years ago.
Yeah, what are we, beaver habitats, and what are we spending on?
You name it.
I mean, here in a forest like that, here's really what you need. Pay the park rangers, upkeep on the existing buildings, the latrines and the whatever you got, if you got an interpretive center, any kind of retaining walls or whatever that you might need, but clearing forests like underbrush out and dead trees.
Which is funny that the environmentalists oppose a lot of that.
Right.
They want forest fires.
Yeah. That doesn't spread any carbon around.
Yeah, no kidding. You'd think that would be that simple, but they just can't make it easy. No matter what, they just can't. I think a bonding bill not only will come up again, but I wouldn't be shocked if they have one in 25 and 26. I wouldn't be shocked to see them both times.
Yeah, it's funny how they just used to do bonding in the odd years.
Even years.
Even years, and in the odd years, they had the regular session. Now, it's just like, we'll do whatever, all the time.
Right.
It's bonding bills every single year. It's more ridiculous.
But bonding is what deficit spending is something the two parties can see eye to eye.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Because it's okay. We'll fix the bridge in your district. We'll fix the school in mine.
Right.
All right. Even though neither one of them is a statewide thing, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we horse trade and we pass something. We got all this money to spend. Got to do it. So, that's how that gets the way it is. But I remember in 2020, when the Republicans held up the bonding bill for 6 months and then passed it 64-3, I just went, all right, you weren't serious for 5 seconds.
Right.
because quite frankly, that's a bill that they could really trim off if they wanted to, but they don't want to.
Right.
They like their goodies as much as anybody. I'll tell you what I'm glad also didn't get passed was the earned run average.
Oh, my goodness.
Your ERA, did not get passed.
That's good. I'll tell you why. That is a horrible bill. And we've got to keep our eyes on that because if the Democrats remain in power, they will bring it back next session. And it is an awful, 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 awful bill. And it gives them now it depends whether you're looking at the Senate version or the House version, but the House version was way worse than the Senate version. There were religious exemptions put into the Senate version, not in the House version. But it's worse than that because, and I tell Christians this all the time, that's just, if you get the religious exemptions in the Equal Rights Act and you go home, yep, well, we don't have to do that. We don't have to worry about it. I'm sorry. There's still babies getting killed in the second and third trimester. There's still pimps and cartel members that can bring women here from other states to force abortions, that can force other kinds of things, that can bring people here for trans surgeries. It makes trafficking worse, and it enables it. I don't understand this. Like, our government, and it's the federal government, and it's our state government, does not care about child trafficking, whether it's slavery in the form of child labor or whether it's sex trafficking. They do not care, and
they want reparations for black slaves.
Right. It's all a sham. It is such a sham because let me tell you, and it's funny how they use these things because, like, I don't hear it a lot here, but there are within some of these demonstrations. It's like free Palestine, free Congo, free Ukraine, and it's like the deal. They got kids that are mining cobalt for your phones and your electric cars, but nobody seems to mind that. That's okay, and we'll keep doing that, and we'll keep funding that. We'll keep letting the Chinese, who are doing the bulk of that, we'll just reward them for that behavior.
How about the people making your shoes in another country? Right,
and then we'll let these people just pour across the border, knowing full well that they have paid cartel members to bring their kids across. So a lot of those kids, I don't know about a lot, there's too many, we'll just put it that way, are being used in sex slavery. They are being put up many, many times a day. They're being spread throughout the United States. And Biden's policies are allowing this to happen, and Tim Walz's policies are allowing this to happen here for abortions, for gender care, and so another thing from this ERA bill is that it really would have opened the door. It didn't make it legal to buy a child, but it did make it legal for a woman to control every aspect of her pregnancy from beginning to end, whether she wanted to keep it or kill it. And so if a woman, it did not criminalize if a woman wanted to sell a child. So you could have people that are, because of the way they phrased this, it really opened the door for that. There's an open door for if a woman wanted to be a surrogate mother, and what if she was selling it to a trafficker? What if she was selling it to a pedophile? What if she was selling it, I'm sorry, but there are women that are struggling enough financially that would do that kind of thing, and it's not outlawed because it's maybe illegal to buy it, but if you have people that are going to put kids up into sex slavery anyways, they sure don't care about that other law either.
It's been going on since the days of Georgia Tan. It's definitely happens, thought it out. Yeah, people sell a kidney.
Yeah.
It's happened before. I mean, I don't know. like I say, that's where you just get helpless. You get this helpless feeling. But what can you do about it?
Yeah.
I mean, our federal government doesn't care.
No, you need people with some intestinal fortitude that'll actually stand up for the right things rather than enriching themselves.
Well, when you see Congress come back from a vacation and it's all about Ukraine funding,
yeah,
nothing about what's going on here.
Right.
Listening to their BS that, Putin's going to invade France, and then he's going to invade Italy.
Right.
And he's gonna, whatever.
That's not going to happen.
Give me a break. But I see it everywhere. I watched Bill O'Reilly in the morning making that case. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. We gotta give the money to Ukraine because then Putin's going to go here and go here. And I'm like,
He's not. He's trying to maybe reunite the Soviet Union. He's not trying to take over the world.
He wants those countries. He's told everybody NATO was red line.
Yeah,
we crossed.
We did.
So why are we shocked at this? That's this BS, unprovoked bull.
And now that we're saying that we gave approval to Ukraine, you can use our missiles to send them into Russian territory. Yeah, that's kind of a red line too.
That's a declaration of war.
Imagine
Soviet missiles coming from a neighboring. What was the Cuban Missile Crisis all about?
Right, and I'll tell you this: Russia has just put a couple of warships, one down off the coast of Venezuela and one over by Cuba again. You think that if we had a sane federal government, they wouldn't be on high alert?
Well, it's. I don't know.
I'm not an advocate for war.
I'm not.
But I am an advocate for peace through strength. And you don't mamby-pamby around and then, play tough guy in ways where you're provoking your enemy to take actions against you. You just don't do that. Well, that's not peace through strength.
Well, it's been a proxy war the entire time, and we've strengthened Russia because they're taking their oil and selling it other places, which weakens us. We've weakened our dollar. The whole thing's been a disaster.
Yeah.
Been a disaster. I mean, and again, where is the reporting on what's going on in that war? You hear nothing about it other than how much money we're sending over there.
Right.
That's all you hear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it were Israel, I think the press would treat it differently. Notice how Israel, we know every detail.
Right.
When they accidentally kill somebody, we know all about it. But Russia and Ukraine, we hear nothing. And why is Zelensky still on a world tour? At some point, he's going to quit with all the money stolen from us.
Yeah.
And go live in Switzerland the rest of his life.
He's the Ukrainian Oliver Twist.
I mean, it's insane. All right.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yeah. Yes. Back to the legislature, though. How come my sports betting doesn't pass?
I don't know.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If, again, I'm for legalizing all gambling because, I just don't want to do it so the government can profit off of it because I think everything is gambling. Playing the stock market is gambling.
Yeah.
Gambling is, life's a gamble. And to me, I don't know why this doesn't go. The only thing I can think of is it's the tribes are stopping it. That's the only thing I can think of that's going. I mean, you think it's kind of like immigration. When 80% of the country wants the border closed and the politicians don't listen, this is another issue that the public supports 3-1 and then the government can't figure out how to do it. I don't get it. It's not a huge priority, but to me, legalize it all. Let it all happen. I don't see what making it illegal is doing.
Right.
What do you think about that issue? Are you somebody? I mean, I know you're not a gambler, but
no, I'm not.
What I mean is I drive into South Dakota and there's slot machines at the gas station, and
right.
Is South Dakota riddled with with more gambling addicts than we do? I don't know. I mean,
to me, it's more of a moral decision, I think, for an individual. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's a form of entertainment, and can you control it or not? And like alcohol, it can get out of control. And for some people, there's like a compulsion there.
sure.
And so it's dangerous in that respect, but life is dangerous too. I mean, you can't protect people from everything, right? And if people are going to make that choice, most of them are going to make it wisely and say, I'm only going to spend $20, only going to spend $50, and they're done. It's just, we're overcompensating and making laws to protect the small percentage of people that are willing to put the deed to their house in.
Right. But see, what drives me up a creek is we run a state lottery.
Right.
It is literally run by the government. They run commercials with my tax dollars encouraging people to play.
Right.
Then they tell me, so I can walk into Quick Trip and play $50 in scratch-offs.
Yeah.
But if I put $50 on the Vikings, I'm a felon.
Right. Well.
And what I don't understand is what's the difference. Either you allow gambling or you don't.
Right.
When you micromanage every little form of how somebody can talk about creating a black market.
Yeah.
Why do we have bookies? Because we've made betting on a certain thing illegal,
right,
but a certain thing legal.
Yeah.
We've created, the demand is there. We created the supply. See, it's called capitalism there.
Yes.
For those of you in San Francisco. So, I mean, so the whole thing I guess that's what irritates me the most is you promote gambling and at the same time, look, I mean, we've supported like some amazing things in this country or state through gambling.
Yeah.
It's paid for state parks to be renovated and there's a list of them somewhere. I can't remember where I saw this.
All right.
There's a lot of things that money's been used for, and none of it would happen if you didn't encourage people to gamble, which is just strange. It's just strange. So I don't know.
Well, the government hates competition. So
yeah, I guess so.
Look at our schools, look at gambling, look at...
So, Jay, let me ask you this. Let's
Yeah.
look forward here to 2024 for a minute. I mean, Republicans could screw up a one-car parade.
Yes.
They haven't had the House for a while. The last
True.
time they won it was 2016, the year Trump won.
Right.
The Senate, interestingly, will be on the line, it looks like.
Yeah.
Because of Kelly Morrison resigning to go through going to CD3 or running, she's resigning her seat. That will be up.
Uh-huh.
As well as, what's her name?
Mitchell.
I think her seat will be up too.
I think so too.
So you're gonna have both houses on the line this year. So,
we didn't expect that, but that's okay.
I mean, what could possibly happen there? I mean, I think Republicans who are great at being the minority.
Yeah.
Always have been.
Well, I think President Trump will help.
I think he's a net positive.
Yeah.
How he affects an individual race is much harder to discern.
I mean, really, we're looking Fargo, or not Fargo, but Moorhead. That area. We're looking at Rochester. We're looking at the suburbs around here. We're looking at not Duluth itself, but just kind of outside of Duluth a little bit. Some of these, we're going to have to run good races, and some of them are just they're Republican given no matter what,
Right.
And some of them are going to be Democrat no matter what. We have to do a better job of identifying where these swing areas are, and figuring out how to run better campaigns, because they've got to make a case for why it needs to be a vote for a conservative this time around.
Why doesn't the party run ads? Why doesn't the party run ads to say we need to check this governor and this legislature? The party could run ads doing that, saying, okay, throw out the 3 worst things that have happened.
Yeah.
That's a long list, but you can only do so much in a 30-second ad.
Right.
And say, hey, whatever you do this fall, send your Republican to St. Paul.
Yeah.
I can remember in 94, I can remember the national Republicans running ads telling people to vote Republican. I don't recall seeing that since.
Huh. Well, you know how it works.
I mean, maybe a third minority group has done it, but
Yeah.
it's sort of like, and I know they're bad at raising money. They're just not very good at that stuff. But I don't know. I'm very concerned that despite all of the what's gone on, I mean, the Dems seem to do it with moxie and with a what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Attitude.
Yeah, they do. Just like, this is what we're going to do.
And, you send us back for 2 more years, you're going to get double the fun.
Or misery.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
So how... and the Republicans have had 2 years to do this. They've had 2 years to raise money. They've had 2 years to recruit candidates.
Yeah.
And that's where I don't see... could they get the majority? Sure. You can win 3 seats and win the majority. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's possible. But they never seem to sustain it.
Right. That's because they don't do anything when they're in there. They don't give people a reason to want to vote Republican, in some of these swing areas. So it's...
But you'd think in a 50-50 district,
Yeah.
how far this has gone would be a pretty good, your lit piece, that should already be written.
Oh, yeah, it should be.
That should already be done. It just shouldn't be, I don't know. I have a gut feeling it's not going to go well.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully people are fed up enough. And
I don't know. I just don't see it. And I've said this before. The Republican Party in the state for years has been leaderless,
yeah.
voiceless. Who's the leader of the Republicans in this state? Who has been in the last 10 years?
Right.
Who's the Rush Limbaugh of Minnesota? Who's the where do we find the Ron DeSantis? Where do we?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's bleak.
There's a lot of conservatives in the state, but so few of them have a public profile that would enable them to step into an important role.
It's because they haven't done the small stuff.
Yeah.
They just haven't done that kind of thing. I don't know.
Absolutely. So
I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of ugly. So, but I'll tell you what, I think it's 50-50 that the Dems could increase it.
Let's hope not.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. In this environment?
Just wouldn't. I mean, it would not whatsoever. So.
They could promise to come around and punch everybody in the face when they answer the door, and they'll still get votes. I don't.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just there's. I don't know. There just isn't much that gives me hope here. So,
we must fight.
Count me as a negative, but I'll tell you what. Over the next 2 years, you think that ERA is not going to come back? You think that the transgender stuff's not going to go as far as it could possibly go.
Mm-hmm.
Abortion's not going to go. We're not talking about the right to an abortion. We're talking about the most extreme policy on it you can find.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. So it's just been a nightmare. It's been Friday the 13th, in this state the last 2 years. But I got to say, listening to the Republicans talk about it, I just shake my head and go, they don't have it.
No.
So.
Yes, indeed.
It's almost like a civil war is going to have to happen in the state. I don't know.
Oh, I hope not.
I don't know. I mean, you're going to have to see. I think ultimately you're going to have state laws or something almost nullified.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to, because you can't rely on the courts. So you're going to have to have school district A somewhere say, we're not doing gender affirming care here.
Yeah.
We're not. You're going to have county A, B, or C say we're not doing abortion on demand in this county.
Yeah.
We're going to respect the Second Amendment here. We're going to.
Absolutely.
What else is it? What else? I mean, if it won't tip in St. Paul, then where's the next battleground?
Yeah. Well, it gets closer to your front door every time you let it come down another level. So.
I don't know. Session was bad. Last year was worse.
Yeah.
November could be. I think it might be good news to the country at large. I don't know about here, though. Really don't. So we might be that beacon out in the middle of. Do you think a state could ever split?
Yes.
Like West Virginia did? I mean.
They're working on it out in Oregon. A bunch of
I've heard of that.
People in counties in Western Oregon want to join Idaho. It's past a number of the steps necessary for that to happen. I don't know that it'll get through all of them.
Well, I mean, same thing. You have the same thing in a state like that. You've got two metropolises controlling the whole state.
Yep.
And that's what they don't. You know what, though? I'll tell you what, though. I don't like that any more than I like. I don't want one party rule. I'm concerned about stuff like that. I'm concerned when I sit here and I think about half the country watching CNN and the nightly news. Oh, not half the country.
Yeah.
A certain percent and a certain percent getting their news completely somewhere else and no interaction there.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that concern you?
Yeah, it does. People are getting their news on TikTok. It just doesn't. Yeah, it's not.
Well, maybe TikTok does a better job. Maybe there's a reason.
No.
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean,
it's because we want entertainment. We want it spoon-fed to us.
Yeah, well, there's something like that. But that's what's happened in news. It's become about eyeballs, about ratings, about pretty faces, and not about news. So, I don't know when that started, but it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
So, your official prediction, Jay, what happens in November in Minnesota?
Oh, goodness. I don't know if anybody can predict that. Unfortunately, I don't know. Goodness, you're making me pick. So I guess I'll just say I think Trump's going to help. I think it's still either way going to be just by 1 or 2 votes in the House and in the Senate, and it's going to be razor thin. We'll say that Republicans, they won't get the House, but maybe they'll
I
at
think
least
they need 4 seats.
Stop things in the Senate.
4 and 1.
Yeah,
I think is what happens.
So I think maybe they stop the Senate, but not the House. So. We'll go with that.
All right. Well, so they'd have to win one of those Senate elections, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any faith that they'll win anything, but I sure hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But, I tell you what I'm worried about is Republicans getting the majority and passing watered-down stuff of the Dems. I mean, that's something that worries me because then Republicans' names are on it.
Right.
And that's, I think that's, I don't know. I think that's something I worry. I'm just concerned, brother.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't know. I'm not a parent. I don't know how you do it with what this country's going to look like in 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
It's just...
I know. It'll turn around. It has to.
Well, I admire your faith, man. I really do, because I don't have any. Why am I doing this then? That's the other question.
Yeah.
Why do I do this if I think that, if I'm such a pessimist? I don't know. I don't know why I do. But when you look at when you look at some of the stuff that also ranked choice voting was another thing that didn't get pushed through that will come back.
Yes.
And I think all blue states are going to push this. I worry that, again, we're going to be on, Alaska has it, which is a red state. Mm-hmm. Maine has it. It's been pushed in cities here, big blue ones for the most part.
Yeah.
It's some form is being, almost every blue state is like talking about it. There's another thing that I think worries me.
Yeah.
Is the ranked choice voting.
We don't ever get it back if that passes.
It will never come back ever. No. So you go back to look. There's a lot of things I'd like to do to break up the two-party monopoly because I don't think it's fair. It's not that I want Dems to win more or something. I just think that I think we're stronger when we debate other candidates. I'm not afraid of that. But that is not how to do it.
Yeah.
It is just not how.
Right.
I won't get into that tonight. But another thing, look for that. Because, again, if enough cities do it and so on and so forth, eventually it will get up to the top.
Yep.
So, all right. I was horrible enough again, Jay. So why don't you just help us out here? Styling and profiling, jet flying, limousine riding, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. Jay, do something with my pessimism, will you?
Let's see if I can wrap this up and put a pretty bow on it before we sign off. There is a lot of bad news, and that's what happens when you have one-party rule, and the people that rule that party are extremists. I think it's a smaller fraction or faction than we think with the Democrat Party, but they're all willing to go along with it. It's like the story of the Emperor's new clothes, where the Emperor's walking around naked, and everybody's telling him, "Oh, your clothes are so awesome and majestic," and they actually buy this farce that he's wearing anything at all. And that's kind of what we're doing here. It's like we're passing terrible legislation, and people are saying, "Oh, we want more of this," but yet they're complaining about it every day. And that's what I don't get. We have come to a point where we have to regain our minds, Minnesota. We cannot continue to do the same old thing that we've been doing and just say, doesn't matter. It'll all work out. It's got to stop. We have to take stock in what we're doing. And we have to honestly look at it. Are we better off with more carjackings and murders and crime in the streets and theft? And are we better off with more babies being killed in the second and third term? Are we better off with children being brought into this state that you might not have two consenting parents, that they change genders? We are doing enough bad things, and there's so many more planned. If you go down the list there's so many things that we didn't even talk about, things that didn't pass that will come up, about things you need to do if a firearm is lost or stolen, if a firearm is not locked up the way that they want you to, which will be continually more and more and more and more restrictive. I know that many women, especially victims of rape, were opposed to the law that they were looking, or the bill they were looking to pass on firearm storage. There are things that they will come back to do if we don't take a stand. So that's where you come in. Sure, spreading the news on social media is all well and good, but it's got to go above that. We've got to constantly be writing our elected officials and letting them know what we think. We have to constantly be taking a self-evaluation and seeing if maybe we're supposed to run for something, a school board, a city, a county, a state seat, and we have to then go after it with everything and do the right things and not do half a job. Because it's important that we get these seats. Our republic is at stake. And once it goes, it doesn't come back. So you got a choice. Are you willing to sacrifice for your family? Or are you willing to sacrifice your family for yourself? That's what it comes down to. If you want to get a hold of us, you want some help running a campaign, we're here. COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com. That's COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com. You email us. Let's get on this. Let's start something now, because the time is drawing nigh, and it's going to be too late, and you're not going to be able to get what you need in order before you can run a great campaign. So we're here. It's time, Minnesota. So here's where we draw our line. We've done our part. Yes, we have. And we love you, Minnesota. But now it's your turn to get to work. God save the Republic. I feel driven.